Welcome to our third segment of setting up Glass on Slicehost. In the first two segments, we followed the instructions found on the Slicehost website for how to install an Ubuntu server, how to secure it, and how to update it to the latest releases. In this section, we will look at installing Gemstone and starting a Seaside server. So now we're ready to go install Gemstone. On the server, we're going to go to our home directory. Then we're going to get an install script from Gemstone. So that came in pretty quickly. Now we're going to make the install script executable. And then there's a couple packages that Gemstone relies on. So we're going to install the BC package, which allows some calculations. And then we need zip to unzip some of the things that we're going to download. And that's going to use up some stuff. Install a new package. And then finally, we should be able to run the install script. But it can't find it, so we'll just type it directly. And so now one of the things that this script does is it downloads the whole Gemstone package for us. So we downloaded earlier the script that asked for it. Now we're actually downloading from a Gemstone server the entire database virtual machine server package in a zip file that's in the neighborhood of 100 meg. So that came in pretty quickly. Now we're going to uncompress it. And then after it's uncompressed, copy things around. Now, one of the things that if we scroll back up and look here, one of the things Gemstone needs to do is set the shared memory. We have 256 meg of total memory, and currently the max shared memory segment is 32 meg. Well, that's not enough for what we're doing, so we're going to set it to 192. So some lines were added to the etc system control. Because we've changed some kernel settings on the system, we can't just start running things, but we need to actually reboot for those changes to take effect. So we'll go ahead and reboot at this point. Now, of course, that disconnects us. We need to wait a moment for it to reboot, so we'll check our instructions. Once we are done, we'll log back in, and then we need to make a change to the Slicehost configuration. So we'll go ahead and see if our system's rebooted. See if that can get back in. So connection was refused, so apparently the reboot isn't quite done. So we'll try again. Now we got in this time. Now, the configuration file that we just downloaded has a 500 meg shared page cache, which is kind of nice if you've got a 1 or 2 gig machine and Gemstone's the only thing running on it. If what you have is a 256 meg machine, then that isn't quite going to do it. So we're going to modify it so that the shared page cache is 100 meg. So with that modification, now we should be able to source a script that sets up some environment definitions. Then we should be able to start Gemstone. And now Gemstone has been started. And now we're going to start Hyper. Hyper is a small web server that's written completely in Smalltalk. Rather than listening on port 80, Hyper, we told it when we started it to listen on port 8008, which you may recall was one of the ports we left open on our firewall. And so at this point, we should be able to take this address, set up a new tab, and paste it. And if everything's working between us and the server, we should be able to have a dispatcher viewer running. So at this point, we are now connected to Gemstone, running on a Slice server out on the internet, and we have Seaside up and running. If we'd like to browse code, we can toggle halos and open up a code browser. This is now showing us the code browser that has all of the Seaside activity installed. We can also go look at some actual Gemstone code. So Gemstone has a number of B-tree collision buckets and Gemstone specific classes. So this is a Gemstone environment, not Squeak or any other dialect of Smalltalk. This is the full Gemstone installation that's out there. And so with that, we can toggle the halos back off and just run the Seaside application with the full system running out to our Slicehost server. And you can see that performance is decent enough, and I would guess that most of that delay is network rather than actual slowness on Slicehost. So there we've got Slicehost running. Now we can stop it using Control-C, and that will stop the Smalltalk code that's executing and actually log us out. Before you'd actually run this as a regular system, as a server, and just expect it to continue running, we do need to set up some garbage collection, some expiring of sessions that haven't been used, so we don't just leave memory continually in use. That will be the subject of further screencasts, but for now we've demonstrated that we can actually install a Slicehost system and connect to it using a web browser. And if we continued to go here, we'll find that port 8008 is no longer being hosted. So we're now can't connect to that page. At this point, we can stop Gemstone so that we're not running it. And when that stops, we can then say exit. And we've now disconnected from our Slicehost system. So we've installed Gemstone S on a Slicehost server, served Seaside pages from it. There's some important things we need to be able to do to run a maintenance gem that will expire and handle garbage collection. But for the moment, we've got things up and running and handled that relatively quickly and efficiently. Thank you for watching with us.